Hi everyone, it's Clint with Clint's Classic World. Wanted to talk to you briefly here. I was really in a search to try to get a new Dodge Challenger, one of these last call Challengers. I was like, you know what? I want to get one of those. That sounds like a lot of fun. I know I'm into classic cars, but let's try for a new Dodge Challenger. Maybe that would be a cool addition to, the vehicles that I enjoy. So I thought, okay, how about a super stock or maybe even a Demon? I go to the dealers and I'm talking to them. Hey, how much for a Demon? They're asking $200,000 over asking price over the MSRP. I'm thinking that is ridiculous. I just know I'm out. That's not going to happen. So frustrated. I talked to over 20 dealers going around. Some dealers, were trying to say, well, hey, we'll work with you of this and that and the other. So they're trying to be reasonable. But on the majority, when it came to Demons, it was just there's no way. I'm not a rich man. So, and on the other hand, I'm like, okay, so let's say I can't get a Demon. Well, how about a super stock? I even call dealers, and some dealers are like, oh, well, I want $50,000 over asking price for my super stock. I'm like, you guys are nuts. I'm like, out of frustration, I just said, I'm done. I am done. Forget this. I'm not going to even buy a new car. Dodge, you have ruined, the purchasing enjoyment of buying a new car. So I'm running away from it because of all this allocation business. You have to get an allocation before you get a car. Used to, I go into a dealer and say, you know what? I want this car. Can you please order that? Or can you go find one? So on and so forth. And it wasn't a big deal. You could do that. But Dodge has ruined the purchasing experience. With that in mind, I just look on the internet, and I was checking out the internet a little bit more and saying, well, let's see, just messing around with, looking at my classic cars, just kind of checking things out, seeing what's out there. Sure enough, I come across a 1970 Dodge Charger RT 440 car, and I thought, you know what? That actually looks like a decent price. Forget buying a new car. I'm going to go buy an old one. So I went and I purchased this car. Subscribe to my channel. Get on to subscribe. Click on that, and let's go check out this 1970 Dodge Charger RT 440 that I just purchased because couldn't get a new one. Here we go. Well, here it is. Again, I'd like to remind you all to subscribe to my channel. What we have here today and what I ended up finding was a 1970 440 RT Charger. A U code, which would be a 440 4-barrel Charger. This was originally a Go Mango car. As you can see, there's hints of Go Mango that has, basically self-dissolved in the sun or somewhat. And you can see hints of Bondo. This car is not a perfect car, obviously. It needs a restoration, but it does run. It's got a little surface rust on the top there. But it is a Go Mango 440 RT. The RT flares, or whatever you call those that go on the scoops that go on the doors here, those are in the trunk. They go on the doors, those scoops. And it looks like, if you see this hint of the dark orange, what I was told is at one point this car had been painted, and it's been stripped back down a little bit to reveal the original Go Mango, but it had been painted to replicate a Dukes of Hazzard car, which that's interesting. So let's look here at the front. As you can see, it has the 70 grille. Here's the engine bay, and you can definitely see the modifications and things that people put in the engine bay. Nothing that I really care for. I'm more of an original type guy, but there's a lot of people, they go Summit crazy. That's totally up to you. It's your car. You do what you need to do. So, see the headlights in there. Wires been messed with and cut on. It's going to need some new wiring harnesses. The hood looks pretty decent though. It's got a little bit of rot here and there, like there's some rot there, but that can be fixed. The corners and things like that, which are very important on these 70s, since it's kind of a 1-year hood. That kind of stuff is very important. It's a very, it's a pretty cool car. The options that this car would have come with, it would have been, it actually came with air conditioning. power steering, power front disc brakes. As you can see, you can see the master cylinder there. Power front disc brakes, power steering, air conditioning, and also what's very cool about it, it came with factory cruise control. I'm going to back up here so you can look at the side here on the driver's side. And then I'm going to go back. Let's take a look here. You can see the front. Let's take a look here at the fender tag briefly. There's the fender tag. So that's a lot of options. That's a loaded fender tag. Interior needs some work, of course. Doesn't have the right seats in the front. Does have some rear seats. But overall, not a bad car. I mean, it's the understructure is not too bad. It's got its own issues. It's not a vinyl top car, so as you can see, it didn't trap a whole lot of water. It actually looks, in these sail panels, it actually looks pretty solid. So it's going to be a fun project. It's going to be a fun project. And this car, I basically bought it because I was out of my frustration, because I couldn't find a newer Challenger. And so I went and found this one and bought this old one to, as my hobby and my addiction, I would say, to buy these vehicles. Let's open the door briefly here. It's got some rust here on the door area. Doesn't look too bad down here though. You can see around the inside. Pretty cool car. Shut decently. Anyway, so we've got a 70 440 RT Charger instead of our super stock Challenger that I was looking for, Demon, which of course I don't think the Demon's in the ballpark. But let's talk about coming up next. So I'm bringing up more video. Here soon to come is more video of the undercarriage about this vehicle. And then we'll talk more about what this Charger has to do with getting a new Mopar. Whether it's a Challenger, Charger, new Challenger, new Charger, Demon, whatever it may be. Which, of course, the Demon, I'm pretty sure is out of the picture. But stay tuned. More information coming soon in this video. Okay, so let's take a peek here at this 70 Charger RT at the undercarriage. What I did was I came in, first of all, I wanted to check these torsion bars. I wanted to see, are these torsion bars correct? So I came in, sprayed some brake cleaner in there, and just cleaned it out a little bit with a brush. And if you can see it right, it actually says 780R for 780 right. And then over here we move, and it shows it's actually on the bottom. It's hard to see, 781L for left. So the 780, 781, that would be for a full 40 Hemi car. So those are correct torsion bars. That's cool. That's always good. This is a disc brake car, so it should have this little valve here, which is nice to see. It's got the right stuff. It's not missing that. Looking around, trying to look for a bunch of wood, a bunch of rot in the metal. This has got a little bit of damage right here, but it's not too bad. A lot of undercoating, so that might actually protect it some. It's pretty solid underneath. Not too bad. Not bad, but when you get to the outsides, you can see more rust, like right here. You can see some patches, things to that nature. Also, it looks mostly like Bondo. You can see some holes in the bottom here. It's just rusty. So all that needs to get fixed. Taking a look at some of the rockers here. And if you can see right there, that is a rough place in the rocker. and this is on the driver's side. So that'll need to be replaced, which, you know, again, it's not the end of the world. This is something that's new. So looks pretty good, solid overall. So, you know, these things, it's just part of being restoration. So here's underneath the back. As you can see, some work has been done here to this frame, this rear frame rail, because it looks like it had some maybe rot or damage. So they actually put some more support in there, which is good. At least they put something back in there, but it's not correct. It's got to be repaired correctly. And of course, look at those shackles. They look terrible. Again, right here in the driver's side rear, it's got a little bit of a repair here. Of course, I can get that fixed. That's something that will need to be fixed when this car comes apart. Right now, though, the car can drive as is. I mean, it's still it's pretty solid. It will function properly. It would be a driver condition. The wheel wells and things, they don't look too bad, but there's definitely some Bondo and spots on the outside of the car. On this Charger, I'm taking a look here at the leaf springs to see if they're original type, if they're the Hemi 440 ones, which they are, which really cool. That's also a plus. There's the numbers right there. These are on this side, which is a Torquey side, which is the passenger side. It's 6.5, they say, 6.5 leaf springs. And then if we go over here to the other side, it's 6 leaf springs, which is the driver's side. But definitely very cool to have those original springs. So these will have to come off, get them redone. Also, something to note is we're going to look here at this pumpkin. I want to see what the numbers on the pumpkin. So I clean these numbers off. This should be a 489 case. So it looks as though somebody has replaced this case, which that stinks. I mean, a 742 housing is very strong, but I believe on the B bodies here, that would have gone up to 1968, and then thereafter, I believe it would have been 489, which should be in this car. So it's too bad, but that's okay. It can all be replaced. Okay, so what I've done here, also I cleaned up, tried to look at the date code of this K-frame. This K-frame has been damaged. If you look here, hit something pretty good right there, smacked it hard. So when you look at this, it's slightly bent now. So even when I look, it's hard to tell, but when I look at the power steering gearbox, which is hard to see on this side, but the power steering gearbox is actually touching the side of inside the inner fender well. But everything here looks pretty good. Let's look here. I wanted to check the calipers. Those are the incorrect year calipers. Over here, I cleaned off a little bit of those calipers. They're incorrect. But it is the correct disc brake setup. So that's good, minus the calipers. We can get those and get the right setup of calipers on there. Not a problem. What's really cool, though, is so these calipers may have been replaced, but they still have the original, these rattle clips here, which normally you see these gone. You see the aftermarket ones, which are long clips sitting over the top, but they actually have the original style rattle clips on both sides. And it's actually over here too. Pretty wild to see that and then not have the original calipers on there. So somebody may have bought loaded calipers. That's the way they used to sell them sometimes, and said, oh, that's easier, versus actually using the calipers and just replacing the brake pads. Well, okay, you saw the 1970 Dodge Charger RT. It's a pretty cool car. I mean, it's going to be a fun car. It runs. I could drive it around. I could enjoy it, beat on it a little bit, this and that and the other. But you know what? It's cool, and it's what I had to get because I just felt disrespected by the dealers, the Dodge dealers, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to get a classic Mopar because that's what I love. And boom, I did it. But what happened next was quite interesting. Not maybe a week after I came back with the Charger, I got a couple calls back from that same dealer. I kind of mentioned there was a dealer that was getting back with me. Grapevine Dodge. They actually called me and they said, hey, Clint, let's talk. Let's talk. I'm like, what's up? And go, well, we got an allocation for a car. I'm like, okay, what's the scoop? And I said, I appreciate y'all calling me back. And I said, I'm still, I pretty much don't really have much because I've already bought another car. I don't really know what to do right now. I'm pretty much out of the picture. They go, well, we got an allocation for a car. You might like it. I'm like, what car do you got, dude? What's up? And he goes, we got a Demon possibly we can get a hold of. I said, what? A Demon? I said, well, I can't afford that. I mean, I'm a poor man here. I said, all I got is some trades. I got some vehicle trades I can maybe give you, some newer cars or trucks. And, I don't have cash, a bunch of 100, 200,000 sitting in the bank. I'm not rich. You know what? They said, you know what? We're not here to rip you off. We are here because we want to have your business. We know that there's Mopar people that are important, that they love their products. And we want to make sure, we're a dealer, that we want to make sure you come back for repeat business. And I said, okay, so what are you saying? And they go, what do you got? And so I shared them with my trades that I had, gave them my trades, my vehicles that I had that were newer vehicles that I had owned, that were low mileage cars. I shared those with them. And sure enough, they called me back later that day and said, Clint, we're going to make it happen for you. You come in, you give us those vehicles, we're going to let you order a Demon. Boom. I'm like, what? For real? So now, even though after all this heinous of trying to buy a car, then I end up buying this 70 Dodge Charger RT, then all of a sudden, out of the blue, the Grapevine Dodge calls me and says, we're still calling you back. This is our fourth time to call you because we're trying to work with you. And they make it happen. With that said, I'm hoping and looking forward to possibly having the new Dodge Demon. And with that said, again, subscribe to my channel and I will see you next time with a big smile on my face.